So, darling, we're live. So you'll be able to hear John slamming the door.
Slamming the door.
When I say live, I mean, of course, barely live, because we did have a couple of glasses of champagne. For anyone, for our viewer in the singular, we are coming from Mark's mansion, his castle in the Blue Mountains, and we are socially distancing.
We like to call it a cottage.
A cottage, and we are socially distancing. So Mark is in one room, and I'm in another room. And when we're having wine, we literally pour it like that. But we are having wine. Darling, how has your week been for anxiety? I feel quite anxious this week. And as you know, I'm not an anxious person, but I feel anxious because the finish line has changed. And I find that really difficult. I thought that we would be in a COVID world where we would get so far and it would all be different. And I know that's a huge question for you.
Well, I think every week changes, right? So, last Sunday we had the storm outside, the perfect storm. We thought we got to the pinnacle of our anxiety, and this week happened. And actually, my week ended on Friday. I was going to give a talk on anxiety to the same staff meeting via Zoom, and I was stuck in traffic. So I thought, fine, I'll pull over a lovely part of the mountain, and I'll do it from my phone because I've done that before. And it wouldn't stop connecting my music to my car sound system. So they couldn't hear me. So for 10 minutes, jumping up and down, getting hotter and hotter in my car, I got out of the car and screamed because I was so frustrated. Never mind, this poor little old lady in her garden was standing there and almost dropped the basket she was working with and said, "Are you okay, dear?" And then I had to calm down and go, "I'm so sorry." It was, I'm getting this, there you go, don't worry, have a cup of tea when you get home. I said, "Yes, thanks, I will." And then I had to then walk up the road to try and dial in and just say to everyone, "I'm sorry, this happens." So there you go. So my week ended even more anxiously than it started. And, but to send love to all my Victorian friends and viewers. I mean, it's a really difficult time for us as a country, and we need to come together even more now. But we'll chat more about that, I'm sure, later.
I know, and I do like that everyone is sending them love, and that you're thinking, "Oh, I really feel for you." I'm just thinking about that nice little old lady going in and saying to her partner, "I just saw that nice shrink off the telly screaming out in the street."
Oh man, but it made me feel better, I have to say. But yeah, love, well, the security guard spread a bit of too much love from, the hotel. And, people are moaning about Dan Andrews. I think he's been a fantastic leader. He's a great premier. And, he can't account for all human foibles and human nature. And that's what I say as a doctor as well. We can give advice and we can go along a certain way. But of course, if people stop taking their medications or don't listen to that advice, then it's a problem, but they have to take responsibility for that. The problem with this is if you don't take responsibility, you cause problems for others.
Exactly. So yes, we should apologize to everyone last week when we said this week is the perfect storm of anxiety. This week really does feel like the perfect storm of anxiety.
Maybe we were in the eye of the storm. Maybe let's leave that analogy right now. But yes, and it seems to have steamrolled through this week. And now where are we? Schools are due back tomorrow actually, in New South Wales anyway. Our federal government's not sitting for a while. Global deaths have reached over 600,000. As I say, and I said early on in this piece, and general anxiety, don't look at the news too much. But of course, prior to this podcast, I did. And it's
I know. And then Alison was sitting 1.5 meters away from me with a bucket of wine, researching stuff, saying, "Oh, by the way, masks are going to be mandatory, and it's up by X%." And you think, I do have to know this, and I do want to know it, but it can't help but just, a little bit. It's like it's bags that you're carrying around with you, and you think, every time I leave the house and I do something nice, like go for a walk. And I think about my friends who can't do that. And I think, and that makes me a bit anxious.
And sad because, that's a problem when we're talking about more restrictions. Now masks are mandatory in Victoria, and I don't know when next elsewhere in the country. But again, just as an aside, I've got some masks here, and but just as an aside, South Africa, it's always a cause of my anxiety for my South African family and friends, linking in high, but it's now South Africa is now the 5th highest caseload in the world, and that causes me huge anxiety.
Yeah.
Because as we said before, anxiety is about not feeling in control, and what you can't control. My loved ones, my family, my parents are somewhere where I can't have any input apart from calling them every now and then, and they get a bit irritated with me because they go, "We know how to look after ourselves, so then I'm going to be careful not to become the parent."
But you do reach an age where you turn into your parents' parent.
Yes.
I know.
But,
yeah.
But from afar, right? So, but again,
sorry.
No. But again, it's anxiety, but also irritability. So I went to the pharmacy today. I needed something, and people were I was hugging the wall on the sidewalk, and I'm giving people the stink eye. But obviously, they just thought this was some weird bald man looking at them. But they didn't say anything or do anything. Twice I said,
"Is that
we're not even a meter apart? We're not even a meter apart." And so I'm thinking in the back of my head, my mind, God, there goes the grumpy old man again.
Should we start a Facebook page where people post, Dr. Mark is cross, and they just report where they've seen you being really angry around the country?
Yeah, let's not go there. I joke when I give talks quickly about changing minds. But I gave a talk to a GP conference, and one day I was leaving home to go to work late as usual, and I was feeling a little bit anxious or irritable as I got into my car, and this guy walked past with his dog, and the dog did a little poop just as I was about to step near my car, and he was ahead. So I went, excuse me," and he turned and went, "Oh, sorry," and scooped it up. And as he scooped it up, he went, "Changing minds was great, by the way." So I can't even be irritable outside my front door because people sometimes recognize
you have to be really careful. Yeah, I did a show on the ABC 75,000 years ago, and I had very blonde hair then. And some woman came up to me in a cafe and she went, "You that woman off Reality Check on the ABC?" And it really surprised me. I said, "Do you like her?" "You see, I think she's all right." And I went, "Yes, it's me." I was all ready to kind of have a French accent and go, "No, I am mistaken for her a lot." If she said, "Actually, I hate her," I've gone, "Yes, I hate her too." Yeah. She's awful.
I haven't thought of that response, but yeah, this irritability and poor sleep, and I'm sure a lot of people will certainly relate to that. I'm not sleeping well again, and that obviously is a barometer for me, thinking about what's going on. And I took a bit of a break from my clinics this week as well. I said, "Hey, I just need a bit of a break."
Yes.
So again, coming to that if you can, but of course, people are now worried about the economy as usual, and ongoing, and JobKeeper, and telehealth, and when are these decisions going to be made? They affect so many people.
Yeah. It's the finish line. It's the lack of finish line, I think, that you think, so when will we be going back to work? What if we don't go back to work for a year? And if we don't have any money, and you do what you can to boost, the economy, you think, well, I've got to spend money. And I know my friends will really laugh and say, "You've always done that." But you think, I'm trying to buy stuff, in my little community, and not make coffee and go out and buy coffee, and take my bike to the person across the road rather than go to another. So what else can we do, darling? That's the lack of finish line, the lack of control.
But with that in mind, I treat a lot of people, and I treat this young guy who works in a bar in the eastern suburbs, and he's saying people aren't following rules whatsoever. And he and his work colleagues are getting anxious because people are just flouting the rules. And so that makes us all anxious. We've all got to do our bit because, and I'm a doctor, but I don't delve into the whole medical stuff too much. But let me be very clear. There's no vaccine in sight. This virus is not going to go away. The only way forward is a mix of working from home, going to work, making sure we distance, making sure we follow the rules. And of course, for how long can people do this? Just and last night there was young people were having a party, and of course things got raucous and whatever. And on one hand, I go, tut tut, the grumpy old man comes out, and the other you go, young people are really finding this hard to deal with. As a
Yes.
young person, they don't need. There's so much uncertainty about their future and the world, and they're the ones who are not really often in permanent jobs, and it's a
Yeah.
really hard
First to go.
time.
Yeah, first to go. And also, I look at, the young people that I know, as I like to call them, young people, my nephews and nieces, and the fact that they're doing all their uni college stuff from home. I think they're missing their pals, and it's very distancing, and it's just not that much fun. And Alison was saying her niece, oh no, was just saying, I go to work, I sleep, I go to work, I sleep, I go to work, I sleep, and I think, oh my god, when I was that age, I was a wretch. It was so much fun.
It's
And
very
it's
interesting you
still
mentioned
not
that.
as fun.
I gave a talk to some medical students last week, and there's this UCOPE survey in the UK, and they surveyed a whole lot of young people from 12 to 25. And it's interesting on the one hand because as a doctor, and I treat a lot of young people, I always think young people are so connected. They're always on the computers, their tablets, their phones, or whatever. And yet in the survey, they were really missing that physical being with their peers and friends. And
Yeah.
that was quite interesting to me. And they were really, really suffering as a result of that. So it's not an easy decision. And I must say, hats off to our leaders. I can't, it's all very well to sit in our armchair and moan and point fingers and go, oh, you should have done this, you could have done that. And mixed messaging isn't great, I have to say. But wow, I wouldn't like to be in their position trying to make all these
I
decisions. So
know.
kids going back to school. But on two positive things quickly with the young mind survey, there was another one as well in the UK. Two things of positive. People weren't being bullied, so that was a positive. They were going, hey, so a lot of people were being bullied, young kids at home, and which is sad to me, they didn't feel as much academic pressure. So again, it always comes back with me to looking at, okay, well, in our society, what do we need to change eventually for the new normal? But that's a conversation down the track. At the moment, we have to try and adapt as best we can to this stormy new normal, which
Yeah.
is, what, some experts are saying this is our actual wave. So we didn't have a first wave. We just stopped it from coming into the country and settled down. And now we're having to put things in place. And that may mean more lockdowns or whatever. And again, as a doctor, I would say maybe this is a good opportunity for us to eliminate this virus. So the whole country shuts down. And I know the economy, I know all of these things, absolutely vital. But the government can continue or, enlarge on the JobKeeper and other stimulus packages. And we've got a real chance of actually eliminating this virus on this island as they did in New Zealand.
Yeah. I think as well, we could replace this. So this is going to be a big statement. With a kindness epidemic. And I think there is a website or there's something, isn't there, a movement? Because I think the second wave is really shaking us up, maybe more than the first, that we are kind of going, right, okay, so this isn't just a month of ordering Uber Eats and watching everything on Netflix. This could be a way of life. And I think if it is, then we do need to change the way we are with each other, forever. And it could be that this is the big catalyst for a much bigger change where we put less pressure on young people to achieve, and we spend a bit more time looking at them and thinking, actually, I just really want you to be happy. Whatever you do, you don't have to be academically great. You just have to be a really happy individual. And wouldn't it be nice if that changed?
I think that's the thing I'm talking about. People are saying, okay, what can we get out of this? What are the positives that we can get out of this? And if we don't have positives and we don't hold on to hope, hope is vital to our condition and what we're going through at the moment. And faith in whatever you want to have faith in, I think it's important that you hold on to that because that helps with our resilience. And we know that if we actually do things together, excuse me, and be kind to each other and actually look out for each other and follow the rules, then we can get through this. I think that has to be a major thing. We can get through this. And, I know friends and family from the UK are looking at this, South Africa, all over. We are globally more connected in a way by all of this and how we deal with things. Of course, some are better at it than others, and some are more equally together than others, as I've always been saying. And that has to change. So we have to improve that. But yes, we have to think positively. We have to. Otherwise, our mental health becomes worse.
And little connections. My cousin Ange, who is in the UK, sent me a message after the podcast last week. But she didn't text me and she didn't send it on Facebook. She sent a voice message. And it was just so lovely. It was really nice hearing her voice. And obviously, I've known my cousin Ange forever, since I was born. And I've grown up, with her voice and hearing her. And it was so lovely. And my lovely friend Graham in Thailand sends me little TikTok messages for no reason at all. And they make me laugh so much. And I think just tiny little things like that people do. Someone contacted me on Facebook and said, I want to make you a nice mask in snakeskin. God, that's so sweet. It's adorable. So I guess it is doing extra little things for each other.
Yeah. And I speak to my parents by phone. They still haven't got the whole VOD video, whatever capabilities. And it was funny the other day we were talking about what our sons will never see. They'll never see one of those old dial phones that, we used to stand by before answer phone was in our lives. They were really showing my age. But there was something really comforting about that. And holding a phone to your face and speaking, you feel quite connected to the other side, even without seeing them.
Yes, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah.
I saw a tiny baby in Waverley, where I live. I walked past a phone box and there's this tiny little kid, and the kid was holding the phone and just gabbling into the phone. And I said, who are you ringing? And the adult with him went, oh, she's pretending it's her dad. And she was, scolding him and what he'd done, but something. But she was like, blah, 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 down the phone. And it was so sweet because she was holding it. I thought, she wouldn't have seen someone holding a phone, would she? I don't know. Maybe they live in the house with an old phone.
No, she wouldn't have. But even just in that little vignette that you presented there, that's the connection right there that we all need to strive for and continue. You talk to someone in the street, it makes you happy, you smile, and then you go, okay, I'm connected. We have to.
I always tell
connected.
people when they look good. Like when I see people who look really lovely and are really nicely dressed, I always feel like I want to say it to them. And mainly people are nice about it. I mean, they might walk away and go, that was weird.
Well, I don't want to do let's get weirder, but off the grumpy old man, when I drink a bit with friends and I go up to couples, straight couples, a man, a woman, or whatever, I assume, and I go to the woman, you look lovely today. Has he said anything about that?
Oh, that's lovely.
I know, I haven't been hit yet. I know sometimes they laugh or whatever. I go to the guy. Have you said? I mean, you're looking stunning, and especially older women. And I think I've always had this thing with older women, right? And I think it's such a nice connection, and I've never yet had a negative one. So
when I was doing,
quite nice.
I think it was the X Factor or something. We were doing a big tour around the country, and we were in a bar somewhere. And I was doing this talk to my Timmy and blah, blah, blah. And this slightly drunk guy walked past, and he went, "You're a very, very attractive woman." And it's in front of everyone, so obviously I'm over the moon. I went, "Oh, thank you so much." And he went, "For an older lady." And then walked off. And they laughed so hard. I'm sure about 4 or 5 of them actually weed themselves. And but I did have a win this week, which was I went to see my mother, who is 98 in about 2 weeks. And the nurse, who I hadn't met before, she said to me, so how old is your grandmother? Boom.
Yeah, we have to take wins when we can, right?
Yeah, so, that's the only one I've had in the last 74,000 years, so I'm taking that one.
But again, and when I'm asked advice, I'm going, well, partly, what do I say? What do I say to people in this time? And I can only say and reiterate, again, we have to be kind to each other, and we have to follow rules, people. I mean, it's not, we don't like being told what to do, but when it means matter of life or death, follow rules, try and encourage other people to do so rather than be grouchy like me. So I do try and encourage rather than slam. And because sometimes people are in their own world, and we notice as well, that's the other thing, people are on their phones still and not paying attention to what they're doing. So I think it's more about just, you've got to get to this stage where you go, okay, I've got to be aware and alert most of the time when I go out.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah. I think it was on the BBC, someone gave advice and said, I want you to think like this. Imagine you have it and you're trying not to give it to a baby.
Yeah.
And behave like that. So you think, okay, so I need to wash and I need to, I think that's very sound advice, which is why we're in two different rooms in your enormous sprawling mansion. I'm going to leave now. It takes 20 minutes to come and find you. Are you in the West Wing?
People are going to think that I've got this huge house. Anyway, okay, so I'll just move on from that. But wearing masks, I haven't, and we haven't really in Australia yet. I haven't worn a mask. More and more people are. Bit of face covering, a scarf or whatever. And you're
People
right.
Are asking you to wear one.
It's about being aware that you may have it, or acting as if you've got it, or acting as if everything else around you is contagious.
Yeah.
And make it a little game, because it's a game of life and death, right? But at least then it's not so hard, and you feel that you're winning in a way and developing some good skills that you can use. And masks help.
Yes.
Not the medical ones. That's for the medical and clinical and nursing teams. You don't need a fancy mask. You literally need a scarf around your face just to stop your own respiration droplets and whatever from entering the air.
And I think also imagine that you have 10 very heavy kindnesses in your pockets and in your bag, and you want to get rid of them because they're heavy. So give 10 away every day to someone. Just give 10 kindnesses away, and it'll make you feel so much better. When people do really kind stuff, you go, oh, it's so lovely. You feel so nice about it.
Sure, but then be kind to yourself. So have a few self-kindnesses in your pocket as well. And I think that's important. It really is. You are worth it.
Yeah.
And you are worth helping others, being kind to others, but also you're worth being kind to yourself.
Exactly. Shall I meet you in the kitchen for Pinot Noir?
Well, I don't drink red wine actually, but I may have a white.
I think John's opened a Pinot Noir. And Alison's opened about 17 Rieslings, and she's just got a straw.
It's funny talking about masks. So John, my husband,
really?
So he's going to buy a mask, going, "I'm still sexy as hell underneath it." So hey, why don't we start? The one thing.
And he is.
Why don't we start sexy, fancy, funny masks.com?
Yes, I might get one with a beard because, frankly, if you see me in a very good light, I do look very downy.
Yeah, I think we'll end now. Thanks for that.
Good idea. I'll meet you in the kitchen. And we have to say as well, don't we, that anyone who is going through a hard time at the moment.
No, please just speak to anyone. Lifeline, Sane, Beyond Blue, they have call centers. Please use them. Or pick up the phone and just phone one of your friends and family. Just have a natter. It really helps.
Yes.
Have a lovely Sunday night, everyone.
And I want to say thank you.
Sunday morning if you're in Northern Hemisphere.
Yes. Thank you to you, and thank you to Alison and John. See you in the kitchen in a moment. And thank you to Georgia, who does social media. And yes, thank you, viewer, for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Viewer. Thank you. Bye, Dad. See you in the kitchen.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.